who is Steve Wilks? What does this mean for the 49ers? What does he provide? What do perhaps we lose in going from D'Amico to Wilks and all those types of things. Centered around this new DC position. We got all off season to tackle a lot of the other kind of ideas and whatever else with, position battles and free agents and draft and quarterback battles, whatever. Today, it's all about defense, baby, which makes me so pumped because I'm a defensive guy. So, and back to when the tea leaves were kind of set on Wilks being the guy, Vic Fangio kind of pulled his name out of the Miami hat, went all the way across country, interviewed with Kyle and John, and sure enough, just decided it wasn't the best fit. Whether that was history with, the owner deciding to go with Tom Sula instead of Vic Fangio, or maybe just the continuity, which is what Kyle talked about right after that, is that they really wanted to have that continuity between the system that they have now and what they're going to have in the future. Now, I think Vic would have been fine with it, but it kind of reels the question, and I'll pose it to you this way. Would you, and I want you to put this in the chat, would you rather have Vic Fangio and lose Kusaric to go with D'Amico to Houston, or would you rather have Wilks and Kusaric? That's the idea. And Josh right here says Fangio didn't want to run a wide 9. So throw it up in the chat. Vic or Wilks and Kusaric, because I think that's kind of what it came down to. I've been in those meetings and hiring meetings, again, at a high school level, totally different, where it's not as easy as, okay, we want you to be our head coach. We want you to be our OC, our DC, whatever else. The very first question that's asked is, how many coaches can I bring? Can I run my own system? Can I do those things? And so when you sit down and you have those conversations, you got to find something that fits for everybody. Vic Fangio's unbelievable. I wanted Vic. But if he didn't want to budge, not saying he did, this is all 100% speculation, but why would he fly? Why would he say, oh, it's not a done deal, Miami? Let me fly across the country interview. Why would he do that if he wasn't at least interested? Kyle, as we know, a little bit stubborn, very, very stubborn, and that's okay. And I'm glad that he was stubborn on this because I don't want to change our defensive form at all. I want the 4-3. I want the wide 9. I want to stick with those things. And with this hiring of Wilks, we get exactly that. My first takeaway when they announced that Wilks was hired was Bosa is going to continue to dominate. Bosa is going to continue to dominate. Nothing has to change. It's not like he's coming in and doing a rebuild. No, you have all pros at every damn level of the defense. You got Nick Bosa, you got Fred Warner, and you got Hufanga. You got a D lineman, you got a linebacker, and you got, back end guys. And really, even though you have Hufanga, who made the All-Pro in his first year starting, that's going to be Charvarius Ward's kind of leadership group, right? He's the leader of the secondary. And probably my favorite thing, again, next favorite thing, number 2 about Wilks is he is a great cornerbacks coach. Amazing cornerbacks coach. And I think that's huge. Again, this is the same guy that coached Sean Taylor, guys. Sean Taylor, the great Sean Taylor. Like one of my favorite players of all time. And so, man, you want to know whose stock went up? Talanoa Hufanga. Like bigger than anybody else on this team, okay? Again, Bosa, his dominance is going to continue. Just look at what Brian Burns has done. Look what he did with Chandler Jones. Like, awesome. Like, he has demonstrated several times throughout his career his scheme is great for a 4-3 defensive end. No concerns whatsoever for Bosa. But who benefited the most from this hire? Number 1, Talanoa Hufanga. That's number 1. Listen to these guys he's coached. Ryan Clark, Sean Springs, Sean Taylor. Come on now. Like, he's been around some dudes. I'm just saying. I mean, he's been around some dudes. But if you look at, his coaching tree, he has been around a lot because he's with the Browns and the Cardinals before he came to Carolina. He was with Carolina, then went to Arizona as the head coach, and that was like one of the worst years ever, whenever they drafted um, Josh Rosen, and it was just trash roster. It still is a bad roster. Then he was the DC at Cleveland, which again, another name that we got to throw in there that he's coach, Myles Garrett. The dude has his stripes to show that, you know what, he's done this before and he's helped stars be stars. Well, guess what the 49ers defense is just peppered with? It's stars. And again, I'm really, really, I'm psyched about this hire because, right, let me use a draft kind of axiom that I always put out there, right? Like high ceiling, high floor. Okay. What do I mean by that? That's what Steve Wilks is. It's pretty damn hard to look at what he has done and accomplished and say, this is not going to work. Now, are we going to have the number one defense in yards and points next year? Probably not. The 49ers have done that, once in their entire franchise history, been once in both those categories. It was 2022. But should we have a top 5 defense? Yes, we should. Do we still need pieces? Yes, we do. But you have your cornerstone pieces there. You got 2 stud defensive linemen, Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa. The rest, you got to figure some stuff out. You have 2 top 5 linebackers, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner. Top 5. You've got your safety over the top, Hufanga. You got your corners, right? Now, Emmanuel Mosley, I think he will come back and he could fight in there, but Demo was unbelievable. I know Demo got a lot of heat earlier in the year. That dude was the best. You could argue him and Fred Warner were the 2 best players on the field in the playoffs defensively. Demo was unbelievable. Charvarius Ward's awesome as well. So G Code, he says this, is Wilks an upgrade over Ryan as a coordinator? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no in certain areas. It's not a blank statement. The area that he has so much expertise is experience. He has more. The 49ers have not had experience from their coaching staff. Now, you've got guys like Bobby Turner, who's a running backs coach. He's done it forever. You've got Kusarik, who's done it for a long time. But again, just to put this into perspective, right? If you look at Chris Kusarik, he's coached for 19 years. This will be the 28th year of Steve Wilks. Experience. Again, D'Amico was a coach for 3 years before he became DC. 3 years. And only 2 of those were a position coach. Robert Saleh, same thing. Longer. He'd been in the NFL for a little over a decade. But what you're getting the upgrade, if you're trying to see, like, okay, where did we step up? Experience, player development, which the 49ers have not been lacking in. And really, again, here's the quote. Not saying that this is something that D'Amico or Saleh didn't do, but this is a quote from Brian Burns. And I read this a few episodes ago. Quote, this is Brian Burns, the Pro Bowl pass rusher. He's incredible. Quote, Steve Wilks is a great man in my opinion. One of the main things about him is that I think he cares more about us players as humans than just players. That's the main thing about Wilks. Like, he taught me a lot. He kind of just fit into the father role for me. He's a genuine person. So if you look at the 49ers, you got a fit to capital F, capital I, capital T. Scheme fit. Experience, holy cow. You just lettered up your wisdom, right? He's going to be able to bring some tricks to the trade to all 3 levels of this defense that perhaps they have not seen. And then culture fit. 49ers don't draft numbskulls. They don't do it. Again, 82 out of 90 players on their 90-man roster were academic all something in college. He fits. He fits. You're not Andy Reid in the Chiefs going after, every person that hits their wife and whatever else and all that stuff. And I don't know that I'm going to get a lot of emails about that. But if you look at Andy Reid's track record, that dude's got a type. He does not give a damn what you do off the field. He doesn't care. Look at the Cowboys. They don't care. We're not that team. And that is important to me. Now, other areas that I think are very, very important is when you've had players at different positions. We've talked about D linemen he's coached. We've talked about safeties he's coached. Well, what about linebackers? How's he done with linebackers? Brian Urlacher, pretty freaking great. Luke Kuechly, pretty freaking great. Like, he has been around so many studs at so many different teams. Shaq Thompson, incredible, incredible. And so I don't know, man. I'm pretty excited about this. And so the continuity is key. The experience, that's one of the things that I want to see. Experience. How can you fine tune these already all pro players into something new, into just adding something different? Because I think the 49ers, especially a defense that is coming after, again, number one in points, number one in yards. How do you improve that? How do you not get stale? You're bringing in a new guy. It's new blood, but it's old blood, right? Because he's got so much experience. He's going to be able to help Fred Warner with different things. He's going to be able to help Bosa. He's going to be able to help these guys.
The 49ers Rush Podcast.